Alderperson Frings, Alderperson Lodoff,
Here.
Commissioner Engel,
Here.
Commissioner Passberg,
Here.
Commissioner Bushky.
Here. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments.
I think that's you.
Go right
You're
to
up.
You could stay right.
Yes.
stay
No,
there.
you've got things to hand out.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
First of all, I wish to thank the commission for allowing Katie and I to be here this afternoon.
I think we got that done.
Is it?
His is colored.
You've all got one. Well, mine's in color.
I saved some pennies on the ink.
The city can't afford her color.
Thank you.
A little over 4 years ago, Katie and I met with the mayor and several other people in city government about the possibility of developing the land off of Tower Drive. According to the schematic that I've just given you, you can see we have approximately 17 acres of land to be developed on that hillside. Of that 17 acres, approximately 10 acres is in forestation. Katie and I have a problem. The Water-Wastewater Commission has a problem, as you will see in a moment, as does the city of Mayville. When we initially met 4 years ago with the mayor at that time and several other members, as I mentioned, within city government, in my mind, we are not too well received. Times have changed. Times have changed for the city of Mayville. Times have changed for Katie and I. And as you're going to see, we have a problem that not only involves us, the city, but certainly involves the Water-Wastewater Commission. We met with the city engineer approximately 3 weeks ago and discussed the problem with him as Katie and I see it. And he brought up some of the problems as he saw the situation. Approximately 2 weeks ago, we met with Courtney up on the hill to not only discuss the problem, but to see the problem. I'm tired of carrying the land on my shoulders as a tax burden. And the family, Katie and I and my children and their future are going to have to make some decisions. Part of that parcel is probably rather easy to develop, but the majority of it, in my mind, is impossible to develop. And the impossibility is based on cost. It's just prohibitive, as I see it. And I'm certainly not going to give long enough to make a major investment and pass it on to my children and Katie as a debt to try to come out ahead with the development of the land. The problem with the land as it now sits is water, sewer, and access. Neither one is a minor item. There's a water main presently on Tower Drive, right adjacent to Carl Bacher's property, which is a dead end that comes off of High Street. Met with Courtney, we discussed the situation as to how we can solve the water, at least for the property immediately off Tower Drive, which makes up approximately 5 acres. And the situation, as we discussed it that day, was the answer is probably to end that dead-end water main fire hydrant and move south on Tower Drive and hook up on High Street, which makes it a loop. If that were done, it would open up approximately 5 acres of land for development. So the water situation would be to put in the loop, which is where you become involved. The other problem is how we're gonna hook up septic sewage. And as I saw it, the simplest would be to go from Tower Drive down towards the golf course east with a main that would allow 4, 5, 6 lots to hook up to this present sewer line that exists between the golf course and the trust property. And if you look at the map, I've got marked where there's those 2 half-acre lots. I thought the simplest would be to come up the sewer line from the golf course property and open up that top part of the hill, which is approximately 5 acres, as I had mentioned previously. But this raises questions and it also creates problems. And I don't have the answer. I'm not an engineer. I'm going to have input and decisions made with the city engineer, and presented to the proper people as to how this is going to be developed. And Courtney mentioned that you were having a meeting tonight and she was going to bring it up for discussion and invited Katie and I to be here to be a part of the discussion that's taking place. Now, if you look at the map, just immediately south of those 2 half-acre lots, there's a 4-acre parcel on the crest of the hill. Now, all that land right now is zoned residential.
That's where the X is?
I'm sorry,
Where the X is?
that's where the X is, yeah. Now, back 75 years, I don't know when this was parceled up. When they lots, they really didn't look at the property. No, they looked at a map and they said this should be residential and they marked it off as residential, not taking into consideration what was necessary to make those lots residential. And those 2 lots would certainly be appropriate to be residential lots. The orange X south of those 2 lots could be residential, but it could also be rezoned into something other than residential to make it feasible for development. And what would that be? Possibly a condominium of some kind or several condominiums. Again, I haven't got the answer, but I certainly would like to start to meet with the appropriate commissions and city government and open it up for discussion as to what would be the proper way to do it, whether or not it is feasibly financially available to do it. And if it is not, then I'm going to have to dispose of 17 acres in a way by giving it to some charity or something where it's never going to be available for city to properly develop.
So how many lots do you think were you imagining in that?
Where that orange is, you could have at least 3 adequate lots where the orange is on that south of those 2 half-acre lots.
And then were you looking at doing something?
Okay, now,
At the end
that's the next point I want to make. Immediately north of that, the other orange X is a 4-acre parcel. And we're running into the same problem, sewer and water. Obviously, if anything's done, it's going to have to come off of High Street. But then are we going to have a line that ends with a fire hydrant on top of the crest of the hill, like we now have on Tower Drive, adjacent to Carl Bachber's property?
But you don't own to
I'm sorry.
High Street down here. You don't own to High Street, right? Because here,
This is, no, that's Carl Bachber right here.
Oh, that's
Here's
Carl.
Carl Bachber,
Yeah, yeah.
here's Carl. And I keep forgetting that fella's name. He and his wife live on it. This is the old property that I had.
Right. There you go.
Right.
And then this is yours. But you don't own to High Street.
Well, those are other,
No,
those are other
my
lines.
ex-wife owns these.
Right. I see
And
that.
if any of you ever had an ex-wife, you don't talk to your ex-wife
Go on.
about developing property.
Dr. Mike, is 10 Tower Drive and 14 Tower Drive, they have their own sewer system? Or are they hooked up to the interceptor sewer down below?
You're bringing up, I wasn't even gonna mention it, but we could probably discuss that. Those two properties originally had septic systems. And when I sold the house to Barry, this septic system was looked at and it was fine. Well, about 5 years after he bought the property, it gave out. So I gave him right away to go through my property immediately east of his house, down the hill, to hook up on the city septic system between the golf course and that woods. Since then, Carl Bachhuber attached his sewer system to his line, which evidently is against code. Now, I don't know how it took place. I knew it was happening because Carl approached me asking if I would give him permission to hook up also with his property. And at the time I said, I'm willing, Carl, if you come in with me and we hook it all up in one swat. Well, Carl evidently was not interested in that. And I knew he was putting it in, but I wasn't gonna make waves because his last name is Bachhuber.
So 10 and 14 are connected to the city sewer.
Pardon?
10 Tower Drive and 14 are connected to the
Yeah.
city sewer, they are.
No, yeah, they both are with one 4-inch line, which also is against code.
And between 10 and 14, is that a lot there or is that?
That's all part of the end lot on the north.
Okay.
That's one lot. So something's going to be done with the 4 acres on the north end. We're coming up with the same problem that we have with the 6 acres on the south end. Water and sewer.
So let me ask the question, are you interested in developing this and putting in that infrastructure, or you want us to?
I like you two.
Well, that would be kind of unusual, for a developer to have.
Well,
Property development.
not necessarily to hook up to make this a loop. Off or coming, that hydrant that comes off of High Street.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that's part of your problem too. It's not only my problem, it's your problem.
So Courtney just brought up a point. And this is just citizens' comments. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's on the agenda, though, it's an agenda item.
No, it's not.
It is, it is.
Yeah. Last item on the agenda.
First, it should be,
Hold it for
First.
Oh, then
that you're okay, I just didn't know if you needed to
Right.
officially go into the,
Then we're fine talking about it.
you're
I was
okay?
gonna say we have to bring it back, but it is on the agenda.
It's on the-
Well, what was brought up with the discussion
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay,
on the hill with Courtney was that road is due within the next year or two to be
Time to
resurfaced.
do it.
And while we're doing it.
And if you're gonna do the road, why not bring everything up to code and put in the water loop? Well, I'm not gonna put in the water loop, obviously. And if I were to put water in, I would just hook up to the hydrant by Carl Bachhuber, that's against code. Can't do it. So I don't know if the city or the commission will allow that.
We've got a lot of places in the city here where it's not looped.
I understand that. You know, and that'd be very easy if I were allowed to do this and just run water to those two properties and not create the loop to High Street. And that would be financially feasible then for me to put the water in.
your options are pretty much if a loop was created, that would be beneficial, otherwise run some lengthy services down to, I think we measured it out to High Street. You could bore in some water services to High
Right.
Street as well, but then your sewer would have to go in the other direction.
Well, then we have the problem with the sewer. No, are we going to, the only other two things would be to put lifts in for those two properties, for the sewer. And that almost becomes cost prohibitive, and then hook up to High Street with a lift
Or you could take
off
them
of Tower Drive.
Side down to the golf course.
But it
That'd
have-
be, that's long, a long lateral.
I realize this is gonna take some thought,
Did you have plans for
and it's gonna take some
development
engineering.
in the wooded area as well? That, or
Well,
potential?
anything's potentially
Yeah.
possible if the money is there to do it.
Well, you just won't wanna ruin your chances of potential development by putting, sewer on that hillside where you can no longer.
Now, I think there's an access road now between the golf course and my property, because it would have to be for your sewer.
Yeah.
Is this feasible to use that as road access with,
For people,
turnaround or a loop of some kind?
Yeah.
that's out of our jurisdiction, right?
But the inexpensive part would be putting the sewer in, the expense is putting a road in. Curb, gutter, and a road.
Have you been to the plan commission with this?
They wanted us to start here,
Okay.
just with the feasibility of water and sewer, because it seemed like the bigger challenge.
I would think it could be done if there's an interest in developing that property.
Well, I always look at, how many lots are you looking at? I mean, if we do this, just
Right now, I'm looking at 2 lots,
these two,
these two.
With the potential for the,
with the
X.
potential for 3 here,
or a condo.
With
and
the
And how many-
potential for 4 here and 3 or 4 here.
so you're looking at 8,
So
9,
that's
10
eight-
lots.
That's 10 lots, 8 to 10 lots,
Significant,
depending upon how it's,
especially now that we're
the
landlocked.
engineering.
Yes,
That's another group that'll.
I always look at, so you got 10 lots at what, $400,000 a house? Look at the tax base,
It would be more than 400.
yeah,
And you'd have a cul-de-sac here, and if you put a road in south of here to develop the wood lots, you'd have a cul-de-sac here.
and then.
I haven't an answer. I don't know.
The
what the
potential
answer-
for that is even greater. How many lots could you put in along there
A lot. And these are wooded lots,
on the golf course?
adjacent to the golf course.
And those would have issue with water main potential. Those have a little more of a burden on water main than they
Than
do
sewer.
on sewer there. If you see like the red, in the packet, it's a big area, so I had to stretch it, but the red line was the sewer and then water, where water contributed and ran through High Street too. Or I'm sorry, the easement to the end of Tower Drive.
There's a red line.
Red, like there's a couple manholes listed on the way right side, it says, maybe look at the second page, one I zoomed, or the very last page on there. One I had to zoom out a little bit more to catch it there. So the manholes are listed on the far right with B74 and B75.
Another thing you gotta look at, Courtney, that water main that services up to that fire hydrant plant too.
Yeah,
That was put in about 1968, would you imagine, Dr. Mike?
69.
Okay. so that's where that last,
So that's getting 50 years old there already,
so if you were to create a loop off of that, you'd likely replace the
That's-
easement.
Right, that's the way, you gotta loop that, otherwise you're gonna end up with a situation like you got on the south end of Green Bay Drive
Yeah.
with the water being too
Well,
long
that-
of a dead end.
Yeah, that's where you could put in all the services you want here to High Street, but you kind of reduce your chances for other future development when you're throwing all these long services in there, or do we?
Tower Drive is on the list for reconstruction next year.
No. No. Definitely, it's kind of it's hiding.
It's a rough area.
It's a rough area though. We were up
Really
there.
needs attention, we'll put it that way.
So before we do something like, our DPW resurfaces that area, that would really need some careful planning. Services we can put in, you know, next spring if that's it, but getting a loop might be the right answer and to allow for more development, but that is also gonna take DNR approvals then and a little more time to.
You know, I realize
Yeah.
decisions aren't being made tonight. And I realize this is gonna take a lot of discussion, a lot of gnashing of teeth. But the city's in a different situation than it was 4 years ago. You are landlocked. You do not have land for development.
And I drive by there 2 times a day, and I've always looked at that, that's beautiful
You know, and to,
residential property.
nobody wants to see 17 acres go out the window. But if something cannot be decided within a few years, one or the other, that's what's going to happen.
What,
I think what they're
what would
looking
be our
for,
next step?
well, if, I guess kind of a decision on whether you guys would, if it's something you wanna pursue, would you wanna look into simply service laterals or look into the feasibility of creating a loop in that area and I guess more or less allowing?
My thought would be to look into what it would cost to maximize the number of lots.
If we're gonna do something, that would be what we should do.
Yeah, I don't think you wanna go with the long service
Yeah.
lateral, you're gonna wanna do that properly.
It's the quick answer, but it's not
Fire flow
necessarily the right.
protection there and everything.
Yeah.
Quality of water, you don't want it in.
It's, yeah, it would be terrible quality water for a brand new house.
Probably be funding for them as well, because they like to see things move.
Mhm.
You know, loves to see
Who
moves.
would have that funding?
So is that something our engineer could come up with as a cost estimate?
Yes.
All that? I
Cost
mean, a
estimate
ballpark?
and that could be added to the, like safe and clean drinking water loans for feasibility. A loop would allow for some more, point value, some more value to the project and potential for principal forgiveness then too.
That would be good. We still are faced with, what do we do with the water once it's used? You know?
Yeah.
Sewer.
So, I mean, you could at the same time off of tower, if the pitch, just throwing it out there, if you're providing for these couple of lots on tower, you could put a minor sewer extension.
Yeah,
In that
but
area.
That doesn't open up the whole area.
No. Yeah, you still have the, what would that be, the west lot potential?
Yeah, by gravity, you'd never be able to flow that sewer to High Street, that isn't that deep there to begin with.
You'd almost need a lift there,
You
yeah,
gotta go down below, gotta go.
yeah.
Well, that would open up the rest of it,
Yeah, right,
right?
that's the way to go, if you're gonna do it right.
So we probably need to get some estimates on what this looks like for cost.
We have no idea what we're talking about till we know how much it's gonna cost.
And then we need to see if we can, shuffle that in with whatever development project we have for roads.
Would a joint utilities planning meeting on one of those occasions be beneficial?
Yeah.
Just that everybody's in the same place and time, or would you guys be open to that?
Sure.
Just that all points get hit,
Well, I think before that though, we still need some.
still need the estimates and things like
Right.
that.
It would make sense. to
We
do
don't know
that.
what we're talking about.
And the deadlines and things for getting that on the, safe and clean drinking water listings too would be, you'd be looking at, you'd know what your timeline is at least then too.
Well, you know, obviously this is a stepwise procedure.
Mhm.
And Katie and I are at the moment interested in developing the 2 lots, the 2 half-acre lots. And, you know, I'd be willing to absorb a cost because 2 lots, I can tag it on the sale of the property.
Yep.
But to go beyond that raises a lot of issues. But if you develop these 2 lots, the planning should be also to open that 4-acre section immediately south of those 2 lots
As much as possible.
as
yeah.
much as possible. And then decide what we're gonna do on the north end with the 4 acres. And from there, move down between the golf course and the wooded acreage.
I would think if we're gonna take a look at it, we want to plan to develop the whole works. Right? It doesn't-
Well, we
it doesn't-
can have a master plan. You know, it seems like it really doesn't matter what the master plan is. because 2 years down the road, it's different. I don't know how many master plans we've had since I've owned this land here.
You've been there, done that.
Yeah, and you can't keep up with it. And
I guess my point is whatever we put in, it shouldn't be the minimum. It should be something that we can expand into as the rest of this becomes developable.
Sufficient to.
you know, everybody
sustain-
has to be involved with the plan.
Yeah.
You have to be, the city has to be, Katie and I have to be, and I'm sure there are other interests within city government that has to be. And our only purpose this evening is to make you aware of the
Where it's
fact
gotta start, yeah.
that we would like to start to do something. And you know now that we are committed. We'd like to do the 2 lots, the lot immediately south, from there move to the north. And then, but it all has to fit into a master plan that does not change.
And it doesn't mean you
years from
have to
now.
do it all right away,
No,
but it all has to be
we set up
plotted
to
out.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, on that 10-inch interceptor, Courtney, there's no stub for future that was put in when that was put in that time? That
On
take care of Tower Drive?
west side,
Yeah.
not that I'm aware of, I guess
They should look into that. 'cause
Plans
there
are-
might have been,
pretty far and few in between here
know.
and not generally very
I
accurate.
don't remember the exact year that interceptor was put in, but they might have put a stub for
If-
future for them.
Yeah, if you can if you were guessing like late 60s.
No, not
No.
this interceptor store was well after
Oh,
that.
yeah, we know a year on that, I think.
I would check your plans, your
Yeah.
as-bills. They might have put a stub in there off the golf course going up to the west.
Okay,
I don't know.
which there would have been an easement on file that maybe we could go that
It
direction.
should be.
Should be.
And 10-inch would be enough for all that?
I would think so.
As this commission discusses this, Katie and I are available 24/7. We're both retired. She's sick of having me around. You know, she'd like me to get involved a little bit or
Get
something.
involved. I may have
And,
something else to do.
Again, we thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. And after the current election, I will request an audience with the mayor and let him know pretty much what our plans are. And what we need are recommendations from you,
I think it
And-
starts here.
who we have to contact to get the
Make it
ball
happen.
rolling. Obviously, there's some engineering that has to take place.
Well, it'll take a while for us to get an engineering estimate on the cost, right? Then we'll have to discuss that. And so
Well,
it won't be
yeah.
immediately after the election in April that we'll be ready to do anything. But we would think that we could move it along as fast as we could. And as soon as we have something.
As fast as
Courtney's
we
good at putting it back on the agenda.
Okay. Well, I don't want to, take up your whole evening. You've got a lot of business to discuss. And again, thank you. And I guess Courtney and will be our go-between as to whether or not we should come back to this commission and discuss it further.
Yeah.
And what your recommendations are to Katie and myself as to what we should do next. And
Put some numbers to
hopefully
it.
we can get something moving. I'm not sure how the election is gonna turn out. Well, I know how the election is gonna turn out. We won't discuss that. That's another issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you.
hope you're wrong.
Have a nice evening.
The presidential election? or-
And you're gonna make dinner yet?
Oh, no, we're going out.
Oh. No, I mean, you're gonna make it on time to your.
Oh, to that dinner. Yes, we are. Yes.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
Good luck with the new mayor.
Next on the agenda is approval of consent agenda, which consists of the minutes, and that's it.
Well, I got it.
Oh, she's got it.
You guys are talking long enough.
Did you wanna do anything? Just move item C back on to the next one and
Yep,
pending, okay.
well,
You're welcome. Thank you.
Look at a potential tax.
That's kind of the way we looked at it, and then you have the potential to move as well, so. It's there.
So, we have a motion by Keith to approve the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes from January 6th and both the water and utility and wastewater bills. There's a second? Second. Discussion?
Yeah.
We'll give Mike some time here. On the bills, all I got is 2. I didn't see, actually 3. What was the well 5 valve put in for $998? Sabo Electric.
If I valve, would a valve fail?
Says valve, well 5 valve.
Oh,
Sabo Mechanical.
for backwashing, one of them valves on the top was all messed up. Is that what he was here for?
I think so. Do you know what page it's on?
We couldn't backwash, the
Page
valve
one.
was open and
Oh,
closed.
freedom.
Okay, and then I didn't see a bill for the, either tower for the electric. Did we get one or?
Oh, yeah, they had some, billing, the city and us put, our bills together.
Oh, okay.
And so they overcharged one and not the other, and so you'll probably see that in the next week.
Okay,
Next-
and then on page 3, what is this, under vehicles, Defender vehicle upfitting, $426.
So that's the light bars and light kits for the new truck.
Oh, okay,
So they put, yeah, all the emergency
Got that
flashers
down.
all over them, yeah.
okay. Oh, I got, Bert.
Any other comments? Now, we'll take roll call on that.
Alderperson Lodo?
Aye.
Commissioner Engel?
Aye.
Casper?
Aye.
Bushki?
Aye. Well report, which consists of the well and distribution system.
Kind of-
Wells.
kind of a long one. Is that what it says? Well, oh, water.
Water.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, we had a main break on Dayton Street on 214. Pumpage indicated it had been leaking directly to storm for a few weeks, steadily increasing. We had everybody on the lookout, but DPW ended up finding it and chased it to a storm, so it's following about, would you say, like 3 blocks worth of,
A couple blocks, we
Store.
followed it back and found it.
I've got quite a few on that stretch of Main.
within about 25 feet there, we know of 3 bands that we've put in.
And that's a deep main there.
Yes, it is. There's a couple sections of Dayton Street from our records. We're trying to fill all the records in the mapping system. And it's like a few select blocks were skipped, but only like 1 block sections and not close to
Is
each
that
other.
the one you were talking about, that you had water coming in somebody's basement?
Yeah.
Randy Olbus had water coming in the basement.
Coming all the way from there.
Yeah,
We tracked it back and process elimination, we found it.
and then once we could kind of pinpoint it and isolate it, we called in a leak detection guys who was again within a foot of.
Was
the-
it coming up on Dayton Street?
No, it never surfaced.
No, it never popped up, because
So
it
it
was
was
going
sitting on the
directly to a
clear
storm
stone.
sewer, and they discovered it probably a block and a half away. Somehow they looked in there and they saw water in the storm sewer, and they said, well, why is water, where's it coming from? So
Yeah.
we traced it back,
We started somewhere near Bridge and Clark
and
with the storm water that was coming
And you
through.
keep that in mind between Wisconsin and Dayton.
Yep.
Nothing has ever been done with that.
Yep.
On
that short block.
Wisconsin and Clark on Dayton.
That's one on the top 10 list.
Yeah.
Happened from Grove to Walnut.
Yeah, I know
That's
I had-
another section
I had
of Dayton.
several in my time there.
That were, well, I think the bands that were originally on the first of 2 breaks on Dayton, those were 2 days in a row. The first band that was on there had rusted off, and that's why.
That's what you said you put on. You
Yeah.
said you put that on, and we replaced one band Mike already put on.
Yeah.
That was the first one, and then we dug it the next day, because the pipe broke about 6 feet away from it.
Your leak guy, is he using Ultra Pro to find those leaks? You know what I mean by that?
He puts some earmuffs on, and he puts something on the ground, and he goes on different valves.
They got a correlator for doing that.
That's what he uses. It comes out of Sussex.
I had an outfit that I used to take into maintenance departments that could find air leaks. It would find water leaks in the floor and that sort of thing, but it was basically, it looked like a gun and you had headphones on and you aimed it down there. you could hear where the leaks were.
He does like a sonic listening where it like measurements, he gets measurements out of and measures off of valves, and he has like a ground mic too. So it just depends on like the type of pipe and the application, and if it's PVC, we're all in trouble, and it only works
He
on
was, he
there.
was close again.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah,
close.
he did
That's
good.
good. He's a good guy to know.
Yeah.
They found quite a few stuff for us, I don't know. Found the one at the pig, he found other ones. I know he left us and was headed to Crossroads, they were losing water by the days.
And when they're on a hill like that, it's tough for them to come up, they usually go surface right there.
No, it definitely did not surface. Look at all of
Not till
it.
not till we isolated and shut the valves off and just shut one off. We put all that pressure on, then the blacktop popped up, because everything was so weak, that's when it blew. And somewhere right here,
Then you know.
never knew.
Thanks. We've got about 100 meter changes to date this year completed. I think our goal is about 150, so we'll have the remaining 50 done as soon as, well, some more people call back for appointments, and then we can get on to valve turning. We brought this up quite a few times, but we've gone back and forth with USG, formerly Veolia Suez Utility Service Company. We got them in, we got work orders out of them to at least complete the work that was due to us last year. So we got to start, we have further negotiations to go on what this costs. The service is not completed in 23, but end of story, we need the work done on these. We can't go without the maintenance.
And I've seen water wells, was at well 3 and
Yep.
at well 2, and their tank was at well 5.
So they have to be issued a work order from USG in order to be paid. So you can see where they kind of get stuck with, they're never gonna get paid unless they have a work order, but we're beating down the door at the same time saying we need the work done. So we got the work orders out of them. My understanding is we're the only people under contract that do have work orders at this point, so from any of them.
We got the wells done, but our next issue is
Yeah.
we're going for the filters, and that's kind of like, where are we at this and what are you planning on
They
doing?
still owe us a well pull on each one before the contract, that's
Correct.
gonna be the one you're gonna be tough to get.
That's why they wanted us out.
Well, that's where they're trying to dump us.
They're aware that they have to fulfill that though. I talked to I don't know what he's
John.
yeah, that manages this
He's the
program.
new guy, the head new guy.
Yeah.
That's it.
So they reacted pretty quickly then. I'd say we had work done within a week and a half or so of getting that out of them.
Well, they gotta look at it this way, after this contract is done with them, if they want our business after beyond that, if they better fulfill what they were gonna do.
Right.
Trust me, they already know it. They saw two other well driller companies in
Right.
town. I had
Because there's a lot of
here,
competition.
NCTW was here, and they both left.
Yeah.
They know there's been other well drillers in town,
Right.
about 2 in already.
Just not under contract
No,
with them, with that particular company after it changed, but it's fine. We did get our preliminary, rate case numbers back for review, and it is pretty much what we said. You mind if I use yours for example? So Bert's average home use, your water bill, it went up $17 a month. And we expected somewhere between 20 and, I don't know, somewhere around the $20 average residential. Yours in particular, just the actual numbers was 20. I can send those out. We just got
you just
those.
figured you're a pretty clean guy, so we'll use yours.
When is that gonna start?
So that's part of the discussion right now. It was a two-tiered rate case with the PSC. They wanted it at, like project start and project completion, so they don't have exact dates pinned down on the 2 tiers, but,
But they tell us when that is.
well, between that and we're working with, Baker Tilly with that as well, so depending on the audit timelines and things like that too, they work together with the PSC on those. So we're getting close. In speaking with, where are we here? Town and Country Engineering, has started surveying, if you've seen them around, for the remainder of the well buildings for rehabilitation and, I guess getting everything up to code as well. So they're doing, properties and interiors right now, and they use, since we're rehabbing all of these, they use a scanning device, so they can pretty much millions per second scans of every pipe and what place it lies in, and that makes it a little easier to rehab. But that's kind of a cool program. Approvals for tower painting have gone to the DNR for review. We continue to work with Dodge County, excuse me, to ensure 911 operations continue smoothly, and they are taking full advantage of the opportunity to modify and update, equipment there as well. I'm gonna need like water here pretty soon. All right. We had a backwash pipe split at well number 3. Valve main contributing to this line does not work either to stop it from running. The pipe had a, horizontal split.
You're dying there,
I'm kind of, thank you.
Where was this, inside the building or underground?
Inside the building,
I'm back.
right off the tank.
It broke about a year and a half ago, and we're trying to, we used a repair sleeve on it, and now it's split further. So we're gonna,
It keeps cracking, the cast keeps cracking on the
fuzzy
way.
needle might have coming in to weld it up. Patches through,
That's on,
on well 3, a discharge pipe.
So yeah, we're looking at temporary, we don't wanna obviously do anything like put in $10,000 worth of pipe replacement, so just hold us through, but it was kind of a double whammy because we can't stop the water from running because the valve doesn't work either, so.
That'll make it interesting to weld, won't it?
Well, we can shut it off and tank and go get it.
Yeah, we'll have to drain it to have that completed, but should be good from there. Well, 4 progress, pretty slow right now until that mid-April, awaiting shipments, so not much activity at the moment, but they've gotten pretty far on HVAC, electrical, plumbing. That's pretty much all of that's in place with good progress on it too. Annual PSC report and audit preparations are currently underway as well, so between me and Nicole, we're keeping pretty busy with, PSC reporting and
Do we know what
audit.
our unaccountable water was for 2023?
We're working on getting the numbers that are needed for, I have the lost numbers, but to get their percentage, they're pulling some reports for us on the metered usage. That's all I have for water.
next is wastewater, sewer system report and discussion. If Courtney makes it.
If I could survive through this. All right.
Stop smoking.
Yeah. Makeup air units continue to fail throughout the plant. We've had that multiple times. Kind of same with well number 3. We're working with Trained and with MSA for recommendations for interim repairs, just to kind of make it through. For now, some buildings that were designated for percentage of makeup air units aren't any longer used for that same purpose. So do we really need it in there or do we not? But keeping everybody safe from, chemicals and explosions and things like that. So bandages for now, I guess, where we need it. The land use agreement proceeding that is approved by this commission goes to common council, I was told today, on Monday at 7 PM. So that's kind of holding up a good chunk of the facilities planning project. That road access is gonna be a really, really key component of the whole.
But both parties have agreed to.
Yeah, there's nothing signed on paper, but just to continue with that agreement, and that we don't essentially down the line, we agree to a certain amount of pavement maintenance, things like that, like a fair,
See that?
yeah, a fair amount of responsibility.
Brand new blacktop there now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Must've been last year.
And it was last fall, we'd only be accessing it twice a year too, so,
Accessing it pretty hard.
yeah.
We're
But,
gonna bust it up. We're gonna.
well, something that's a fair agreement, I don't wanna see it 20 years down the road and somebody says, well, we're not paying for that anymore and you lose your access, something that's
Right.
black and white agreement. This is pretty bulletproof, or ownership changes or any of that stuff happens, that we have a solid agreement that we always have access. So, that's going on Monday, 7 PM. We did get a notice of non-compliance for chlorides from the DNR. Just barely slightly high chlorides from the January melt. But that's just a little bit, it wasn't much at all, but we got a non-compliance notice for that.
How could that get in the sewer?
I
How
can't
could that
imagine how that would
possibly
make it there.
Anybody take us up on our water softener? One guy so far.
Got one. I've had quite a few,
I might.
Oh, really? That's it?
I've had quite a few ask, but I don't know. for sure.
Culligan thought there was quite a bit. Maybe he'd just give a quote.
They could be, they had interest though,
Oh.
at least, right? I haven't seen anything that we owe them anything yet, so I can't force anybody to change their softener, but it's a good offer to be, is it a good deal for you?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
got soft water now.
There you go, perfect. Without all the chloride additions, we can't blame you anymore.
We could.
We could, just for fun. That'll work. June through September, we have high chloride issues regardless. We have a large industry that's a very large contributor. We're working with them as well, but we have a really hard time meeting anything with chlorides in those months of the year.
I did think they changed some processes.
Employees change, processes change. We've been meeting with them, working with them for quite a while, so hopefully we can get that.
They
I
have,
heard there's a new
people
guy.
that are running that now in the summer, they're more aware. I think a couple of years ago, they were all brand new and didn't really know.
Almost every time we sent an email or had a corresponded, the emails were rejected within the last couple of years because that person no longer worked there. So it was every 3-month turnover at one point, so.
But you gotta figure that company, every place, every other town in Wisconsin, there's a lot of them sitting there.
Yeah,
This isn't the only one that,
no, they've been extremely cooperative. They've been working with us really well. It's just a matter of getting everything under control. So hopefully we can meet that limit, because my understanding with the permit reissuance is our limit's not gonna change. We're gonna have to stick to that limit or do something about it. So between your softener and the industry,
I'm gonna save the city.
we're good.
Citizen of the year.
We did have the Ram plow combo delivered from Ewald as well, just in time for the last of the snowfall. We got to use it once. And the auction items have been sent to Wisconsin Surplus for partial funding of that. The auction is currently live. We have about 7 days left on those items too. I think they're doing fairly well for 7 days left on the auction items.
That'll go up the last day, I hear.
I think everybody's waiting. It's midpoint, we bid up and then we'll wait till the last day.
I'll have to look. I go on that site a lot.
Couple I'm surprised by already.
What's that?
Few I'm surprised by already.
It's a game.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going. We have a new Mayville High School student in the work study program as well. Our current students are both gonna be making their way there too. One out of college to the workforce and, one going to college from high school. So, ever since we did career placement day, that's been going really well with the high school students. We have students that are genuinely interested in the industry, and I keep getting correspondence from the high school regularly now that there's more students.
So the new one started?
I took one through for sure, another one came through.
Yeah, one wanted a tour, one started, and I got another one that showed some interest today, so we can potentially at least keep summer to work study. They maybe, I think the one's just like 6 hours a week.
So these kids are leaving a perfectly good career with the Water-Wastewater group in Mayville to go to college?
A couple of them, yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah, I know, right?
Kids these
tried.
days.
We tried. We will look, the high school reached out to us too, so we are looking at, they asked us if we would do a collaboration with them for career day in the future, not just visiting the schools, but keeping the work study program going, as well as potentially doing field days with us, which we kind of also turned into as we're under construction. CD Smith or those industries, CD Smith was one I talked to, they'd be interested in offering students scholarships and work experience and things like that too.
I know that Findorf took the classes through the library when they were building it. That was,
Okay,
I guess the kids really enjoyed that.
so we'd be one of their potential sites here as well that they'd like to do on a continual, like an annual basis, is tour facilities and things like that, so. So it's been working well. Today we met with MSA for 30% design completion meeting. We expect a full plan set at the end of July and bidding in fall of '24. In the meantime, we plan to do other site visits for product demonstrations and some opinions from other operators on things. Try to get it right. So that's all I have for wastewater.
We had, someone last night was discussing how much they'd like to have a situation in Mayville like they do in Milwaukee, where once a year they open up the fire stations and people can come and visit. That's They were wondering if something like that could happen in Mayville. And right away, the person brought up that people could visit the sewer plant.
We just had one
Yeah, but
a month ago,
Yeah, December, mid-December.
and it was well received. I don't know, there's,
51.
no, half dozen, huh? Dozen?
Yeah, we had probably a dozen people show up, but
They're
Yeah, I
all
think-
really interested.
I would think that we'd want to, especially going into a construction phase here, we'd want to have people see what we've got going now.
and I can definitely do that again too. I know the weather probably wasn't, I mean, nobody wants to go out on December 16th or whatever we did it on
Yeah.
a Saturday. Maybe we can do a spring version or something like that again.
We don't want to let the public see the bunker though. That's something that we need.
But you gotta,
No, they saw it. She took them
I
down
did
there.
take them in there. Gotta keep that one under your hat though,
How
right?
many steps are moved?
It is, that's part of the problem too, is I know a lot of people would probably love to see it, but it's just the accessibility is pretty bad.
It's not ADA,
Oh, no, definitely not. Yeah, so after that, but I can definitely plan something again when it's a little nicer out. If more people would be interested in coming through. And same with the well houses and things too, that's probably gonna lead us to
I think they're having a new well is.
Oh,
up
yeah,
and running.
we love an open house, so that.
definitely do a open house of sorts.
Just real quick, like my sister called me the other night, she says, what the hell is that thing on Kikoski Street? No, she said, that looks great.
Oh,
You know, and I said, well, that's, was the intent is that it blend in more with the
Right.
neighborhood? But she says that, you know, it just
yeah,
really fits in now.
so
You know,
the newspaper contacted me about that because that's a lot of the questions, like what in the world is that thing and why does it look like it does? So I don't know, let me say that right. Sometimes things seem to be a little overshadowed. I'd love to see that building on the front page and everybody's interested in it.
that kind of defeats the purpose. That's supposed to be stealthy.
It is a little stealthy, but to outside attack. So there is an article in there on why it looks like it does, somewhat of what it is. And like the Bioterrorism Act of 2002 is quoted in there. It's secure and guarded. It's a cybersecurity thing as well as a outsider driving in.
It's kind of interesting. I just a couple days ago, Darlene and I were driving past there and she was commenting on the new one. So I turned around and went past the senior center and the youth memorial, and that's a pump there right next to them, right in that line. And that's got right across the top exactly what it is.
Yeah, all of them.
We used to advertise and now we don't. So
That's changed a little bit since that act, but yeah, there is,
the world's changed a little bit since that pump house was built there.
yeah, just a little bit.
Okay, next meeting.
So there is an agenda item on there for next meeting, due to the elections. So our next meeting falls on election day. I imagine we don't wanna,
So you're saying we go to the 9th or?
the 9th was open, if that was okay with you guys, that was the one date I checked, I guess from what we traditionally do.
Do I hear that?
Tuesday?
Yes, just the following Tuesday.
That's fine with me.
Fine with
So
me.
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next meeting will be April 9th, 2024, 4 PM at City Hall.